The less athletic stars of the 2000s, 2010s, those guys were plumbers and couldn't survive in 2040. I guarantee you it's going to happen at some point. Those guys in the 2000s are going to get...
I can't wait to a little later down the line, and now I'm think the older guy talking to the young cats. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, y'all don't know nothing. Y'all see the title, man. Let's get into it.
When it comes to ESPN this year, one of the big-time narratives they were pushing is that Nikola Jokic is undeserving of his third straight MVP. And some even went further, saying Jokic, in his past two MVPs,
they was going crazy.
He won them was because of his skin
was
color.
Going crazy.
Now, to your guys' credit, YouTube's credit, 99.9% of people called this out as a BS take, and rightfully so. And after this year's finals, I thought takes like that would officially be dead. But over the weekend, ESPN very quietly had a hit piece on Jokic.
That boy was bugging. I just can't say that enough, man. He swept my Lakers. You know what I'm saying? He
had his skin color, and the media giving him preferential treatment.
He was wilding.
Now, I want to be very clear in saying this. The media always has favorites, and they have guys they don't like as much. And looking at Jokic specifically, when it comes to ESPN, Fox Sports, even social media, pre-championship, he was criticized like no other. By Stephen A. Smith, Nick Wright, Kendrick Perkins, Jalen Rose, Jay Williams, the list goes on and on and on. And look, those takes, they can have them, and they're fine. But them downplaying Jokic, discrediting him, is not because he's white or they hate white players. It's just takes in the media, and that's all it is. And look, the vast majority of fans were tired of this stuff and this weird obsession with things outside of basketball that pertain to these players. And in this latest article, they went pretty in-depth with some heinous allegations against voters and NBA fans. And they went all the way back to 1987 with Larry Bird to prove him as a player was overhyped, overrated, and got treated differently by the media. And if you're not familiar with these comments, after a grueling Game 7, Boston vs. Detroit, Isaiah and Robin said Bird was overrated and got special treatment by the media. Now, for Isaiah and Robin after those comments, they apologized ad nauseum. Looking past those comments by Perkins, ESPN, even Isaiah and Rodman, what I'm more interested in and fascinated by is how Nikola Jokic this year validated all past legends like Larry Bird. As on social media, even YouTube, there's a big section of fans who think players like Bird couldn't survive in today's NBA. And by Nikola Jokic...
Bro, I talked about I think it was last reaction. I can't believe that. I can't believe why y'all didn't see some of Larry's games, some of Larry's highlights, some of the stories, Come on, man. Larry was not soft. He definitely wasn't soft out there. You were like
Jokic, the quote-unquote tub of lard, who's not lightning quick, doesn't have a crazy vertical. For him to average 30, 10, and 10 and win the championship, that is clear-cut proof Larry Bird will be just fine in this era. And actually, Greg Popovich, arguably the best coach of all time, was the first guy I saw comparing Jokic to Larry Bird. And Pop went one step further, saying Jokic quite literally is the reincarnation of Larry Legend.
Sheesh.
And look, it's not a one-to-one comparison.
It's not, but
there is a comparison made. As both the Joker and Bird were great all-around offensive players, highly efficient,
exceptional passes,
of course, not great athletes. And I think someone like Bird, undoubtedly, he was more mobile, a better defender, and more athletic in general than Nikola Jokic. Which begs the question, how can Jokic, in the most athletic era ever, dominate in historic fashion? The answer to that question is pretty simple. Basketball, since day one, has always and will always be about a player's skill. Being a great athlete is a plus on top of that. But for a base...
Skill and the intangibles, man. Skill and the intangibles. You know what I'm saying? You can have all the skill in the world, But if you're not ready for the moment, if you're gonna shy away from the moment, certain things, man. You gotta be competitive, aggressive, you know, things like
NBA
that.
Player, skill is the most important. And looking at someone like Larry Bird,
yeah,
in
skill
my
is definitely
personal
most
view,
important. You don't got skill. You got all the right mindset in the world. If you don't got no skill, I ain't gonna lie. It's not even gonna work. You just gonna be out there. I mean, you can play defense and shit. There's a lot of I mean, even the defensive players are very skilled at this day and age and things like that. But yeah, bro, things like that.
In NBA history, no, he wasn't Jordan, Kobe, or LeBron in terms of athletic ability, but off pure skill, he's on the same tier as all those legends.
IQ.
And looking at Bird and
feel
Face's
for the
NBA,
game. It's not just skill though. That's what it is. That's what I'm getting at. It's not just skill. Why Larry Bird and Jokic are so good. It's not just skill. It's also the IQ, the feel for the game. You know, it's
what
a lot
I'd be
of
so
intangibles,
fascinated
man, you
by
gotta add.
is him taking 10 to 12 threes every single game. As back in Bird's era, as a rookie, that was the first year they had the 3-point line. So for Bird at that point, he was learning on the fly.
As you said, like that's literally that's literally different. They bring in the 3-point line his rookie year, and he still shot 42% for his career, I think. Something like that, right? Ridiculous.
Threes. And staying in that era, Bird versus the best defenders of the 80s, even some of the 90s, was completely dominant. As versus Worthy and Cooper in 87, he averaged 27.4 points per game on 48% shooting. Versus Robin and the Bad Boys, averaged 27.1 points per game on 48.6% shooting. Versus Dominique Wilkins, 27.2 points per game. Dr. J, 26.7, and Alvin Robertson, 25.0. For the most part, all those players played on great defensive teams, as individual players were pretty great defenders. And I think everyone would agree, those players Bird played were much better athletes. Now, with that being said, Bird still put up numbers and feasted on his opponents. Now, looking at someone like the Joker versus Anthony Davis, the best defender in the game, a crazy shot blocker, has tons of mobility. Yeah. He averaged 27.8 points on above 50% shooting. When it comes to guys like Bird,
he was playing good defense too.
Kobe,
it wasn't like he played bad
LeBron,
defense. You just can't.
You can play great defense and still give up 28 or 30 points per game. Because all those guys are extremely skilled. And to make a larger point, looking past Bird and Jokic, I think in 20 years' time, you're going to have kids online who aren't even born yet saying Paul Pierce, Zach Randolph, Dirk Nowitzki. The less athletic stars of the 2000s, 2010s, those guys were plumbers and couldn't survive in 2040. I guarantee you it's going to happen at some point. Those guys in the 2000s are going to get...
I can't wait to a little later down the line and now I'm fake the older guy talking to the young cats. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all know nothing. Y'all talk about all this, all that. You know?
Crapped on
for real, though,
in the coming decades.
I'm talking a whole lot.
It is pretty sad to think about, but for sports in general, it's a never-ending cycle of disrespect, downplaying eras that is passed on from decade to decade. And looking at the current day NBA, someone like James Harden, Luka Doncic, guys who operate on the perimeter, have the ball in their hands 24/7, and aren't great athletes, they still put up insane stats. And Harden at his peak, he had some ups and some really great speed. But if you're picking the best athlete in today's NBA, I don't think James Harden is in the top 50. And Luka Doncic isn't even top 100. And that's why guys like James White-Flight, DJ Steffens, Stromile Swift, while great athletes, aren't first ballot Hall of Famers. Because basketball, once again, is a skill-based game. And Luka Doncic, at age 21-22, he debunked all these narratives about Larry Bird not being able to play today. As versus the LA Clippers, In back-to-back playoffs versus Paul George and Kawhi, two of the best defenders of this era, he averaged 31 in 2020 and 35.7 in 2021. Woo! And in both those series combined, he scored 46 points, 44, 43, 42 twice, and even 41.
I never get to catch it.
And the Clippers both those years were top 10 defenses, despite PG and Kawhi missing huge chunks of the season. Even looking at James Harden, after numerous injuries, countless nights at the strip club, numerous boxes of honey buns, this guy still averages 21, 11, and 6 and leads the NBA in assists. And this year's playoffs, I mean, for Philly's team, you could argue he was their best and most consistent player. My point being, if a chubby James Harden, who's really past his prime, can average 21, 11, and 6, why couldn't Larry Bird do that in today's era? And like we've said numerous times on this channel, in today's NBA scoring is just so inflated. And the defensive rules, you can look at them, it makes it so much easier to score compared to past eras, like the 90s and especially the 2000s. And looking at the NBA's top scorers, the top players, you have guys like Curry, Durant, LeBron, all 35 plus, averaging 29 a game and playing better basketball than ever. Even guys like Trae Young, Lauri Markkanen average above 25 points per game. And of course, Luka Doncic averages just above 32 points. Common sense suggests if those guys in today's league can put up video game-like numbers, why would Larry Bird, a guy who in his prime was better than Magic Johnson, why would he struggle in today's league and not adapt? So that right there is the end of the video. And like you guys know, Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, man. That's the end of this, y'all. Y'all want more Nikola Jokic, Larry Bird? Let me know in the comments, man. Click on the last reaction, share the video. I'm out of here.